Going on to the culture part of the podcast, you have Burger King pulling ad spend from a free speech platform. Will they become the next Bud Light? I think there's a good chance that they very well may become that. Now, it shouldn't be too much of a surprise to everyone, since in terms of politically speaking, Burger King has been very, well, I was about to say uneducated and leftist, but what's the difference? Most would say. And this is it's only a 1-minute commercial from 5 years ago, but I think it perfectly encapsulates who Burger King is as a company and the types of misinformation they like to put out. So this is talking about how the apparent pink tax that women are forced to pay, that we're told.
Producing chicken fries for $1.69 and chick fries. It's the same.
I was going to say it's already overpriced. That's the issue right there. So chick fries is the same thing, but in a pink container.
Introducing chicken fries for $1.69 and chick fries. It's the same chicken fries you love, but for way more, because girls like pink.
Which, yes, they do. Women and men like different colors. That's not really a good point thus far, but we'll keep going.
What? They're $2.39 extra? Just because it comes in this cute new box. She's got eyelashes and a bow.
I'm not going to pay for that. You're not. No. I'm not going to pay extra. I'm sorry.
It's exactly the same thing, the same price.
Why are you charging me more? I ordered the same thing he did.
I'll literally take them out of the box.
Do you not like pink?
I don't even want the fries anymore. Would you pay extra for a pink box? Would you pay extra for a pink box?
Don't have to get excited about it.
Do I look excited?
I don't give a about the fact that the box is pink.
But when you go into the drugstore and you pay $2 more for your razor blades, do you say something then?
No.
My eyes rolled so far back into my head at the moronic messaging here. It almost physically hurt. Now the little meme on the screen says 42% of the time women's products cost more. Really? They cost more, you say? It's called the pink tax, they say.
We need to be able to tell people that I'm paying more, that we're paying more for the same product.
The men and women should be paying the same price.
It's stupid.
At Burger I was going to say Queen. Nowadays, it might be a drag queen, king at Burger King. I haven't looked into their social media too much. Some more scrutiny might be needed. But the last meme, it says, at Burger King, we believe everything should be equal. Ow, my eye. Again, I rolled back so much, it hurt. And then the final meme is chicken fries, $1.69 for the male or the regular packaging. Then the other packaging is the same thing, $1.69 for the pink option. Support the pink tax repeal. Callmycongress.com. Now, I was about to say this is mentally vacuous to say the least. A more pejorative way to say them might just be to say they're moronic idiots. For a myriad of reasons, which we will break down this before we get into the actual substance of Burger King. But the pink tax, this might shock people. Companies, they like to believe in capitalism, so they're going to charge a price that the consumer is willing to pay. Also, when you have different pigments cost different amounts of money. That's another variable as well. Another thing is economies of scale. Depending on what product you're making, if you're making a lot more, if you're making 100 units for the men's audience, and you're making 10 units for the women's audience, that's a huge price difference because you can aggregate the cost of over many units. And it's one of those things, women are choosing to buy those pink razors. I think foolishly, but no one's forcing them to buy those. Truth be told, there are women in my family who they just buy the men's version because they know it's the same damn razor from the same factory. Another interesting thing, there's also the inverse. Women's tools cost a fraction of what men's tools cost. If you want to say pink is a different type of tool as well. They have pink tools at the Home Depot and other various places where you can get a hammer for like $2. I mean, it's about the same size as a child hammer, but nevertheless, if you get a male hammer, which if you want to say male and female are different colors in regard to consumer products, there's a little truth in that, I believe, you're going to pay a multiple more. And of course, they want big government to come in and just have all the prices be the same, even though the products are not the same, even though the consumer spending habits are not the same. There are certain things men buy, they don't give a damn about it. In terms of, I don't waste money on razors too often. But when I do, I usually just look for something that isn't Gillette, and I look for something that is a lower price point. I do not care about the brand, the packaging. That's not a big value to me. But there are things that I do place a high value upon that many would say are more male-centric products. And I pay more, partially because, well, I would argue they use better ingredients for their nutritional supplements, such as whey protein. But why do they just deciding to buy these pink razors and other pink products? Because consumers are willing to pay more because of how they look. But Burger King thinks everything should be priced the same, regardless of logic or reason. So that's a little summary. That's 5 years ago from Burger King. And needless to say, their IQ points have not increased one iota since. Now, the most recent thing they moronically did a couple days ago, they pulled their funding for advertising on Rumble, which Rumble is perhaps the last free speech platform around these days, which is why I'm trying to post both shows in terms of the daily show. I put the main episode both on YouTube as well as Rumble, both the usually the 1 minute intro summary as well as the whole body of the episode. And I'm looking to see if I might be able to put the clips on there as well. But Rumble, you have this controversy right now where Russell Brand, who earlier in his career was a promiscuous womanizer, which I certainly do not agree with. Now, he has some allegations against him from anonymous sources, or anonymous women. Now, these incidents were allegedly 20 plus years ago. Okay. And there are no official charges. He has no official charges, which certainly means, well, I should not say certainly means, I know United States public schools are all-time low in terms of teaching anything, but that means he has not been to court. And that means he's never been convicted because he's never been to court. So legally speaking, and with all the data we have now, he's currently innocent. Because the United States, at least it used to be, you're innocent until proven guilty. However, not anymore, according to the big tech overlords and as well as the mainstream media. Now, again, Russell Brand has not broken any of YouTube's rules. However, as soon as he has allegations brewed to the surface, immediately demonetized his entire channel on the YouTube. He still have the content on there, but they demonetized him. Now, Rumble, thankfully, stood by free speech. They chose not to demonetize him, even after the tyrants, the United Kingdom, actually wrote a letter to Rumble pressuring them to demonetize Russell Brand. Now, interestingly enough, maybe it's perhaps boiling the frog in the water or whatever, or boiling the lobster slowly in the water, whatever term or metaphor you prefer, a slow boil, something like that. But perhaps instead of coming out for an all-out ban on Russell Brand and censoring him completely, they're trying to do it slowly. So now, first step, they're just going to try to demonetize him. The next person they choose to go after, perhaps they just completely nuke his channel, which we've seen before with Alex Jones. Now, Burger King decided, all right, we're going to take our advertising dollars off of Rumble because they're believing in due process, which unfortunately most Americans probably don't even know the definition anymore these days. So now it is trending in terms of a boycott on Burger King. Now, there are a couple parallels in terms of the ease of the boycott with the Bud Light incident, with the Bud Light business blunder of the century, with the brilliant, and obviously that's sarcasm, Alyssa Heiserchild, the proud first woman in marketing, nuked the company by losing them in one quarter $400 million in sales compared to the same fiscal quarter last year. And every week their sales are about 27 to 30% less to the same fiscal weeks last year. Because she thought it'd be a good idea to hire a spokesperson who has an average audience member of 15 years old. Brilliant idea, Alyssa Heiserchild. You will always be remembered, I guarantee that. Now, in terms of Bud Light being so easy to boycott, very similar to Burger King, they really don't taste good. I don't know anyone who enjoys the product without being heavily inebriated. When I think of Burger King, I think of cheap fast food you got when you were in middle school. I don't know a single adult who buys the product without being inebriated. I don't think I've honestly had the product since maybe mid-high school. If I wanted a microwave burger, I would just microwave a hamburger. So it's not the highest quality. And It's also a king, so we shouldn't be too surprised they don't believe in free speech, as kings are most tyrants, similar to Canada. But it's one of those instances where you can substitute it pretty easy. But like, let's be honest, most people don't like the taste. With the exception of someone who really likes hot sauce, so it burns your taste buds off. In which case, you might enjoy it because it's alcohol, technically, it's a little bit about, but it really doesn't taste like anything. So perhaps if you burn your taste buds and you really like spicy foods, then you can have Bud Light in terms of that could be a way to refresh yourself. Well, you're not getting, not tolerate yourself, not really refreshing, while getting even more inebriated. I think I just came up with the 5th use case for why you would enjoy winning a case of Bud Light with the Bud Light sweepstakes. Write this down in the history books. Perhaps we will eventually think of a 6th reason to be happy by winning the product. But nevertheless, in terms of the product inherently not tasting that great to begin with fast food, very similar to Bud Light, the competition is very close. Usually, geographically speaking, you have a lot of these fast food joints right next to each other. Sometimes just right across the street or right next door. And there are a lot of options for fast food these days. Literally dozens. And I would argue majority of them are probably rated higher in terms of consumer satisfaction, not microwaving the hamburgers. And just like Bud Light, if you're in the frozen food aisle, or more accurately, the refrigerated section, Yuengling is right next to it. So to make that different buying decision, all it takes is moving 4 inches to the left or right, literally just moving your hand to pick up that product. Now, I do admit, in terms of the Burger King boycott, you will have to drive an extra, perhaps 15 feet, which I know for some Americans, that could be an endeavor. That could be a trek for some people, just based on physically speaking. Sometimes folks are a little out of shape these days. Well, not sometimes. Statistically speaking, more often than not. But I believe that 15 feet, that little extra driving distance, or heaven forbid walking distance, it would be worth it to send a message to Burger King to say, we don't believe in tyrants or kings. We don't want a Burger King, you tyrant. We'll take a burger president, and we'll buy an American brand. Something like that. Let me know in the comments, will you participate in the Burger King boycott? Do you think it will have the same percentage decrease in sales as Bud Light, where they're looking at about an average of 30% less of sales compared to the same fiscal periods last year? Will Burger King have the same fate? They've had a very left-leaning political messaging for, as we just covered here, for years. Well, similar to Bud Light, they've had very left-leaning politics for years. Will this be the tipping point that actually convinces people we need to participate in this boycott? Which, again, should be very, very easy. 15 feet driving or walking, or in America, rolling as well, because, even easier than walking. Let me know in the comments. I'd be interested to see what you have to say. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in today. Also, don't forget to take the time to subscribe. I know it's ambitious, but trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Also giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase in September. Go to toppingtechnologies.com to learn a little bit more about the rules and details. Also, don't forget to take the time to ask your friends and really just let them know about the show, get their feedback as well. What I'm trying to say is, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.